Blenheim to you? How does it fit into your calendar as an important event?
Well, it's important in a few dimensions. It's important for if you've got one in the main class,
Yep.
CCI, which I haven't this weekend. It's important because it's often an indication of a horse that's ready to go on to, say, something like badminton next spring.
Yep.
And you would think that if a horse went round here, because it's physically quite demanding as well as quite technical, I think they've beefed it up a bit this year.
Yeah.
So it's certainly, there'll be horses here that'll be looking to, go to badminton next spring. So it's always something you would have in your back of your mind if you think you've got a 4-star horse to bring it here at the end of this season. And then, of course, the development of the 8 and 9-year-old class. There's a few options there. For some of my horses, it's been the main goal for the owners.
Yeah.
To be at an occasion, bigger atmosphere. It feels like a proper international event.
So it's a good event, like for owners and stuff like that. That it's got the atmosphere, it's got everything that you're going to run into in a 4-star at badminton and
It's
Blenheim.
like my horses today. Some of them, the second horse, they didn't cope with the atmosphere.
Yeah.
But you need to get them out into these things and learn these things. So to be able to get that is really beneficial. It's what you're looking for when you get a horse to a certain level. Because although the one-day events are great, they're very different to something like this. And as well as, if you had a horse here and you were running it in the CIC 3-star and it was a 9-year-old, you could easily go from here to somewhere like Piccolo or something. So it would be a great lead-in run for that. And you can still, because the owners love to do the age classes, so just to come to Blenheim and experience, just the ambience of the whole event, it's good.
Riding at Langfranco TSF. That was only last week.
So this is a very experienced rider, rides for Germany. Bettina Hoy has been around many years and has had a lot of notable successes. And this horse just took a walk step into what was otherwise a square hold and a walk step out. So again, that will be a good mark, but not an absolutely top mark. And that was a mostly very well balanced shoulder in. It looked as though there was just one step there where the horse drifted to the inside, but that was very quickly corrected by Bettina. Horse just came a little bit high at the beginning of that right shoulder in, but again has been corrected by Bettina. So this horse is receiving a lot of good assistance from his rider. In general, he looks a little bit tight in the frame to me. He looks as though he could just stretch forward and arch his neck a little bit more and make more of an arch underneath the neck. At the moment he has a closed V, but the balance is good and the rhythm is good. Again, it's just a little bit high and tight in the neck there, but he's maintaining a consistent rhythm. Very well positioned, smooth half pass. And a lot of these marks will be awarded according to where the judge sits. So the judge at C will probably not be aware that the horse was coming a little bit high in the neck at the half passes, but the judge at B will be. So we would expect a difference in the mark between the judge at B and the judge at C there, with the mark at B perhaps being 1 mark lower. Now the horse is stretching forward well to the bridle in that extended walk and making good marching steps. Nicely contained medium walk, but unfortunately the halt is not square, so she will come down in the marks for that. He's left a leg sticking out behind him instead of having them all in a line, and in the rein back the horse has become too high in the neck. Having said that, overall Bettina is a very elegant rider who's corrected the small issues that have come up very quickly, and so the horse will not have come down too much, I wouldn't think. Sometimes when these horses are at big events, they feel a little bit tense. As you can see, there's an awful lot going on around this arena, which often the horses want to look at. Bettina's doing a good job of just keeping the horses a concentration on the task here and not letting his neck get too high. Well balanced counter-canter. Lovely flying change. And the horse looks as though he's starting to get a little bit more confident in here now. And a very accurate transition to medium canter. Although the horse did drift off the line a little in the circle, and then there's been a small inconsistency in the contact there where the horse brought the neck up and just fiddled with the contact a little bit. Again, that will stop it being a really high mark, but it was still a good transition forward. And the horse just looking a little bit tense. If he would just stretch his neck forward and out a little bit more, she would have one more mark for every movement. Another well-balanced counter-canter, so she maintained that well. Again, we'll just still be looking for a bit more reach forward in the neck and relaxed appearance. Another good flying change. The horse perhaps twisted a little bit too much to the left that time, so it wasn't quite as good quality as the last one, which was very straight and uphill. But again, it will still be a good mark. I think the rider, being so elegant in this test, is always going to show everything off to its very best advantage. And that's an important thing to remember as a rider, is that you're trying to enhance the performance. If the rider is moving about a lot, then it always detracts a little bit from the overall picture. Basically, that was a good test. For absolutely top marks, he could have a little bit more uphill tendency and a stretch forward in the neck.
We're here today with Zara Bullimore, who's got 2 horses in the CIC's 3-star. How have you gone so far with your dressage?
Well, they've both gone well. We're pleased with them. No mistakes, but they are 8-year-olds. The first one is quite big, gangly and green. Yeah. But they're not giving any marks away today. So
it's pretty competitive. It's going to be a bit of a dressage.
There's a few really smart tests that are on seriously good marks.
All the usual suspects, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then the cross country. What do you think about the cross country?
Well, I think it's not going to be a dressage competition. The cross country will sort them out. It's certainly tougher than last year.
So they've beefed it up quite a bit, you think?
Yeah, I think they have. There's a few serious combinations which, the horses do need to have done their homework a little bit, and it's been a difficult year, so horses won't have had quite as many runs with the weather. Yeah. So I think it may cause a few problems.
And things like, specifically, you're talking about the water jump and stuff. How have they changed that?
That sort of area of the course, you've got a few more questions. You have a big question, sort of 2 fences before coming down the bank and the drop, which I think they could just look at a little. And then, suddenly then you drop down the hill and you've got the water, so you don't really get much of a breather. It's sort of a few questions in a row, which suddenly the horses can say, actually.
So rider technique's going to come into its own.
Yes,
again. And then you show jump tomorrow morning, don't you, with the CIC 3-star?
Yes, we used to have to wait until the afternoon, but which was a bit of a long old wait. But actually, it's quite nice to be able to. Yes.